additional that, first of all, we don't want and we don't need war. We want and we demand only justice. And justice is that immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian troops from occupied territories of Azerbaijan and end of occupation of Azerbaijani territories. It is the not only demands of Azerbaijan, it is the demands of all international organizations, including UN, which adopted 4 Security Council resolutions. And for your information, just 1-2 days before, Armenian Prime Minister stated and rejected these UN Security Council resolutions. Before continuing my remarks, I would like just for you watch one of these adopted UN Security Council resolutions, which demands immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian troops from occupied territories of Azerbaijan. Please.
Following consultations among members of the Security Council, I have been authorized to make the following statement on behalf of the Council. I quote,
Yes, I would like to be shown by you. Yes, Madeleine Albright, you know her. And it was happened in 1993.
Following consultations among members of the Security Council, I have been authorized to make the following statement on behalf of the Council. I quote, the Security Council expresses its serious concern at the deterioration of relations between the Republic of Armenia and the Azerbaijani Republic and at the tensions between them. The Council also expresses its deep concern at the recent intensification of fighting in the area of Fizuli. The Council condemns the attack on the Fizuli region from the Nagorno-Karabakh region of the Azerbaijani Republic, just as it has previously condemned the invasion and seizure of the districts of Kalbajar and Agdam of the Azerbaijani Republic. The Council demands a stop to all attacks and an immediate cessation of the hostilities and bombardments, which endanger peace and security in the region, and an immediate, complete, and unconditional withdrawal of occupying forces from the area of Fizuli and from the districts of Kalbajar and Agdam and other recently occupied areas of the Azerbaijani Republic. The Council reaffirms the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Azerbaijani Republic and of all other states in the region and the inviolability of their borders, and expresses its grave concern at the effect these hostilities have had on the efforts of the Minsk Group of the Conference on Security and Cooperation in Europe, CSCE, to achieve a peaceful solution to the conflict. In light of this most recent escalation of the conflict, the Council strongly reaffirms its call in Resolution 853/1993 for states to refrain from supplying any weapons and munitions which might lead to an intensification of the conflict or the continued occupation of territory of the Azerbaijani Republic.
Thank you. It is clear shown here that Armenian armed forces should and must withdraw from occupied territories of Azerbaijan and end occupation of Azerbaijani territories. We were holding negotiation process more than 28 years in order to achieve all these demands adopted by UN Security Council. But unfortunately, Armenia acting contrary to negotiation process and is trying to consolidate the status quo regime based on occupation. First of all, I would like to mention that how this, the situation was escalated and the tension increased in the region. for all will be much interesting, I think, that to know the reason. But if we will go to the reasons, it started by the coming to the, even before the coming to the power of the current PM of Armenia prior to his election on 8 May 2018. He raised the issue of participation of the illegal regime established in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan as a party to negotiations. Before 2018, we were holding negotiations with Armenia, but by his statement, he started to try to involve the so-called regime of Nagorno-Karabakh as a party of this negotiation. Then he went, after the election, he went further deeper, and on 9th July 2018, he sent his son to undergo military service in the units of armed forces of Armenia deployed in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan. This is just a few main points I am giving for you. And then ahead of start of the Pan-Armenian Games, Nikol Pashinyan declared that Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, by their calling, is Armenia. It destroyed all the negotiation process which we were holding 27 years with Armenia, and the statement that Nagorno-Karabakh is Armenia means that they don't want peace, they don't want negotiations, and they don't want the end of the occupation. Then on 23rd April 2020, Armenia's Minister of Foreign Affairs declared that proposal for peaceful settlement of the Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, envisaging a step-by-step approach, is not acceptable. And after that, on 23rd July 2020, Nikol Pashinyan, PM of Armenia, declared that after the July clashes, the Armenian position on the Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh has been strengthened and put forward 7 conditions for resolutions of this conflict. So many of his unserious statements, and both in word and deed, escalated the situation, and his visit to occupied Shusha to participate in the inauguration of the self-proclaimed regime was another provocative action done by Armenian PM after his election as a prime minister. To ensure the security of our civilians, which were suffering 28 years, and you know that Armenian armed forces used regularly to provocate in the line of control, targeting our civilians and human settlements, and to ensure the security of our civilians and human infrastructure, our armed forces, it was already mentioned, started counter-offensive peace enforcement operations against Armenian aggression. And I just want to mention that these counter-offensive measures, which launched by Azerbaijan armed forces, are inside the territories of Azerbaijan and not targeting the Armenian territory. As the president of Azerbaijan mentioned, we have no military target in Armenia. We are holding peace enforcement operations in our occupied territories. And the difference between Armenia and Azerbaijan is that we have in the line of the control the civilians which are living in the territories of Azerbaijan, which not occupied, and Armenian armed forces are fighting in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan. When they are targeting our civilians, our human settlements, but when our armed forces conducting counter-offensive measures, they are targeting only Armenian military troops which are inside of the Azerbaijani territories in the occupied Nagorno-Karabakh and 7 adjacent regions. Talking about the 7 adjacent regions, it is also clear that Armenia occupied our territories, because if conflict on Nagorno-Karabakh, around the Karabakh also 7 regions which were occupied by Armenian armed forces. It proves that Armenian armed forces occupier and they are not interested end of occupation. So Armenian armed forces in violation of norms and principles of international law, international humanitarian law, and Geneva Conventions, directly and regularly targeting our civilians and human settlements, even far away from conflict zone. And they are targeting our civilians not from the occupied territories, they are targeting also from the Armenian owned territories in order to provocate, in order to enforce Azerbaijan to target Armenia in order to bring the third parties to this conflict, announcing that Azerbaijan not conducting operation its occupied territories, Azerbaijan targeting Armenian territories. It is a clear demonstration of provocation, but it was already shown and video was shown on the proposed to show all of you that with the modern weapons and systems, we are targeting directly the armed forces of Armenia, not the civilians, not the human settlements. And attacking civilians from its own territory, Armenia aims also to instigate Azerbaijan to retaliate and as a result to involve CSTO military bloc into the conflict, which Armenia is a member of it. What I would like to mention that it was already comprehensively was given information. The world community must take concrete measures and actions against occupier and provocator Armenia, and world countries should put the principal position on this conflict, because it is clear that Armenia occupied 20% of territories of Azerbaijan, and UN Security Council resolutions also demanding end of this occupation. South Caucasus will never have peace and security until Armenia liberates the occupied territories of Azerbaijan. I would like to thank Pakistan, which always supported the fair position of Azerbaijan on Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and in the first day of the escalation of situation by Armenia in the conflict zone, the Foreign Ministry of Pakistan gave a statement condemning Armenia and demanding the stop of the military aggression against Azerbaijan. And there was also some rumors spread in the media that Pakistani armed forces also involved in the conflict. It was already rejected by the Foreign Office of Pakistan, and we also reject and state that this is false and baseless information spread by Armenia and its supporters, as well as involvement of Turkish armed forces on this operation. We demand justice, and we also urge international community to condemn these illegal actions and illegal use of force by Armenia against Azerbaijan, and demand Armenia to end occupation and withdraw its troops from occupied territories of Azerbaijan. I think we will have question-answer session as well, and I don't want to take much of your time, and I am pleased to start to answer your question, which are interested to know on this conflict. Before my colleague Samir would like to say something, I think.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for your remarks on the topic. Now the floor is open for Q&A session, question and answer session. We will have 30 to 40 minutes for this session. Please raise your hand if you have a question, and assistants will bring mic to you. And please first introduce yourself, mention to whom your question is addressed to, and then please kindly try to make your questions short and clear so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible. Thank you. Please.
So, Naveed from iNews. My question is with the Excellency Ambassador, that what are the bases of Armenian claim that Pakistani forces are fighting along with the Azerbaijan forces against the Armenia? There should be some basis of it. And secondly, how Azerbaijan value the Pakistan diplomatic, strategic and moral support to Azerbaijan on this issue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I already mentioned that this is the provocation of Armenia, which is trying to involve third parties to this conflict. Pakistan, Turkey are the strategic partner countries of Azerbaijan, and there are also some other countries which already put forward their principal positions and condemn the actions of the Armenia against Azerbaijan. This is baseless and false information and have no any base. So this is just provocation, yet another provocation of Armenia to announce to the world community and try to involve third parties to this conflict. About the support of Pakistan, we very appreciate Pakistan always stands with Azerbaijan on Nagorno-Karabakh conflict and supports justice position of Azerbaijan. And taking this opportunity, I would like to thank not only the government and the authorities of Pakistan, which are always supportive, as well as the nation of Pakistan, which always are very supportive, and we always feel this support here in Pakistan. Of course, the armed forces of Pakistan, which are always in solidarity, and which is always in moral support with Azerbaijan.
Raza Khan, Special Correspondent, PT World. Excellency, first of all, as you all know, Armenia is the only country which is not recognized by Pakistan apart from Israel in the whole world. Even you recognize Armenia, but not us. So this shows the amount of support Pakistan gives to Azerbaijani cause. And isn't it high time that, as your President Ilham Aliyev has said recently during the Al Jazeera interview and his speeches to your nation as well, that it's time that Azerbaijan finishes this once and for all, because you gave peace a chance for 30 plus years, but the world community and the so-called hypocritical world powers like France, they are doing nothing. And your country now has the military might and the demographic support behind it, and your president seems very sure. So are you actually trying to finish this problem once and for all and get your territory back from Armenia?
Of course, this is the justice cause of Azerbaijan, and this is the demands of international organization resolutions, and this is the demands of all Azerbaijani nation. We have around more than 1 million refugees and IDPs in Azerbaijan, which suffered a lot from this conflict. They faced genocide in Khojaly town of Azerbaijan. They faced the brutal killing in early 90s years by Armenian armed forces. And all these refugees and IDPs waiting there, returning back to their historical land, to Karabakh and 7 surrounding regions of Azerbaijan. And hope that by the support of the world community, by the support of our strategic partner countries, by their diplomatic and moral support and demand from Armenia to withdraw its troops from occupied territories of Azerbaijan, we will try to end this occupation.
Excuse me, maybe we will take one question from this side and one question from that side, so now this turn, we have mic here. Yes, please. Okay, Mr. Faisal, and then. Okay, please.
Thank you very much. I am Faisal Raza Khan, Senior Defense Correspondent from 92 News. I am referring to the statement just issued by the Armenian Ministry of Defense Press Secretary, Ms. Shushan Stepanyan. She has claimed that Armenian forces has shot down 2 of the UAVs of Azerbaijani armed forces, number one, and there are rumors, this is not directed to or related to the Armenian MOD, but there are rumors that one of the MiG-25 shot down by the Armenian forces. So how do you clarify this one? And the second thing that you, during the presentation of Colonel Memon, he has rightly pointed out about Mingacheva city. One of the very fierce report that Armenian forces are planning an attack on one of the largest dam, Mingacheva Dam, that is the largest powerhouse for Azerbaijan and the rest of the region as well. They are also going to have plan to destroy some of the very vital water reservoirs within Nagorno-Karabakh as well. And millions of people are at stake, their lives are at stake. So how do you see this type of attempt by the Armenian forces when they are foreseeing some sort of defeat, as Azerbaijan is claiming on that particular side? So both of the questions are directed to Colonel Memon and related to the Armenians' aggression. If you please clarify on civilian casualties particularly happening within Azerbaijani territories. This is directed to the Honorable Ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very important topic you touched upon. Actually, as I already mentioned, I only listed only 3 of those the fake information that Armenian, the defense ministry spokesperson, has been spreading for last more than 10 days. Even though the Armenian forces are being defeated, and we have many video footages where you can see, even it is available on the net as well, you can see how Armenian troops, they are just leaving behind all the weapons all the tanks, trucks, the vehicles, all the military, the hardware, and they are running away from Azerbaijan forces. And 250 only, actually this is the yesterday's information, 250 Armenian soldiers and officers, they surrendered to Azerbaijan. And just coming to your question, that they were all the UAVs and all the aircrafts of Azerbaijan Air Force, they are all intact and they are actually in the base. And those the information spread, they are not, they don't portray the truth. And just to highlight the reason why the Armenian side, they are using such information, because their armed forces, their troops are demoralized, and in order to actually give the motivation to the troops, as well as to satisfy the domestic the environment in Nagorno-Karabakh as well as in Armenia, so they are using such disinformations.
Yes. What about
And,
the Mingachever Dam?
about regarding the Mingachever Dam, yes, there were some attempts. Armenia launched the Smerch missile to the Mingachever Dam, and Alhamdulillah, a couple of them, they were shot by the Azerbaijan air defense, but few they fall, but Alhamdulillah, they didn't explode. They were cluster bombs, the missiles with the cluster bombs, and they didn't explode, and there was no damage to the Mingachever Dam. But still, Azerbaijan government, calls upon the international community to just take this the threat of Armenia very seriously, because it is, if it happens, it is going to cause the humanitarian crisis in Azerbaijan, and then all the responsibility will fall on the shoulders of Armenian leadership. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think about the civilian casualties information were already given. For information, according to the information of 8 October 2020, at 12 o'clock, 31 civilians have been killed and around 150 wounded. Meanwhile, 576 houses and 70 other civilian facilities were destroyed. And in addition to Colonel Mehman's remarks, I would like to add that Armenian armed forces already hit the densely populated cities of Azerbaijan, Ganja, Mingachever, not only Mingachever, Ganja, Yevlah, Goranboy, and many other cities. And they aim to provoke panic among the Azerbaijani nation, but they must know that Azerbaijani nation is strongly united as ever been. And the second, their aim, they want to involve the third parties to this conflict. They are hitting the densely populated areas, cities, towns of Azerbaijan in order to enforce Azerbaijan armed forces to retaliate to their densely populated areas. But we are keeping our passions, and we never hit the densely populated areas and civilians of Armenia. Our target in our occupied territories, and we want and we need occupation, end of occupation of our territories. Thank you.
Yes, this is Saleh Zafar. I'm from the young group of the newspaper. First, an observation that it is heartening to state that Pakistan and Azerbaijan have been supporting each other and have stood by each other on their principal respective positions, first on Kashmir from Pakistan and Nagorno-Karabakh from Azerbaijan. And my question is that Mr. Ambassador, ever since this operation, this action was started on 27th of September last, I wish to know how much area of Nagorno-Karabakh and other occupied areas have been liberated by your troops in the action so far? And secondly, could you give us some breakup of the losses in dollar terms so far you have suffered due to this invasion by Armenia? Thank you.
I think civilian casualties and infrastructure, I already given information to you for the other sufferings, maybe military suffering. Mr. Mehman, if he has any remarks, he can provide.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat that part of your question? I'm sorry.
First part of question.
No, the second, which is actually related.
You know, how much losses in dollar terms you have suffered, Azerbaijan has suffered due to this invasion by Armenia?
You mean the military casualties?
Dollar terms.
Dollar terms,
civilians,
okay.
Including civilians,
Yeah.
including army.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Colonel Mehman, I forget to answer to your question. For the liberated areas,
Yes.
our armed forces already liberated 25 settlements, villages in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan, as well as one city, Jabrail city of Azerbaijan.
Percentage-wise, how much is it?
By percentage, it was not clear, yes, but I hope that it will be clear soon.
Regarding the loss in terms of the financial terms, so we don't have, as a military, we don't make a calculation of how much we have spent so far. We only make notes of our the military, the manpower, the casualties, and also the military hardware. So, but Alhamdulillah, our casualties are far less. Even though we are in the counter-offensive operation, our casualties in a normal, the statistics or military, the calculation should have been at least 3-5 times more than Armenian side, but actually it is other way around. Alhamdulillah, because we are using the very modern, high-tech technology, military hardware, and we are pinpointing the assets, and the Armenia, as it was shown, so they lost only 270 only tanks, air defense systems, more than 60, including the S-300 air defense system. So you can imagine, and they actually left behind the more than 35 tanks actually. Right now, the military servicemen, they are driving those tanks. Okay, thank you. Yes, please.
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Kaisar Mahmood, student of International Relations, International Islamic University, Islamabad. My question is directly to Mr. Mehman. That's all about the geostrategic location of that particular region, Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan. Sir, my question is that it seems illogical that you have made this kind of statement that Armenia made aggression against Azerbaijan. So the Armenian population, their military might, they are surrounded by Turkey and Azerbaijan. They are to some extent in jail. They are surrounded by their enemies. So how is it possible that Armenia made aggression against Azerbaijan? My second question is that if you have military might and support of your friends like Pakistan, Turkey, Israel, so then why not you are going to take strict military action against Armenia, sir? That's my question. Thank you so much.
Actually, I would like to just mention that when Azerbaijan territories were occupied back in 1990s, early 1990s, Azerbaijan still was part of Soviet Union, and we didn't have our standing armed forces. So we didn't have our standing armed forces, and the youth, they used to serve in the Soviet army. But the Armenians, separatists living in Nagorno-Karabakh, backed by the Armenia as well as backed by the Armenian diaspora abroad living in US, France, and everywhere, they have been preparing, and they had this the long-term plan to get this portion of the land, which is the strategically very important area from Azerbaijan. So therefore, when those clashes, military clashes started, Armenians, they were fighting the civilian population of Azerbaijan. So and also those Soviet the troops. If you, I don't know, have information about the Khojalı genocide that was committed in 1992. So in the perpetrating of that Khojalı genocide, the former Soviet troops, the regiment 366, the units, soldiers, they took part in that Khojalı genocide, siding with Armenia. So the bottom line is that, when the territories were occupied, Azerbaijan didn't have the standing army, as well as Azerbaijan didn't have that time, in the first years of independence, we didn't have the political stability. So all this affected actually the resulted with the loss of 20% of our lands. And the second thing is that, there were 4 United Nations Security Council resolutions, as the Excellency mentioned. The 4 resolutions, they demand unconditional withdrawal of all occupying troops of Armenia from those territories, Nagorno-Karabakh and surrounding regions of Azerbaijan. So therefore, Azerbaijan, even though after gaining independence, after the coming the Haydar Aliyev to the political power in Azerbaijan, the economy developed in Azerbaijan, we had enough strength actually, and army building was going very well. We had enough strength to get back our land, to liberate, but still we relied on the United Nations Security Council resolutions, and we wanted to preserve the military option as a last option, and we tried to resolve this conflict through the peace talks. But unfortunately, the peace talks, due to the double standards of the world community, the countries, especially the leading countries, and double standards of the OSCE, the co-chairs, unfortunately. So these 27-year the peace talks gave no results. So this is from my side. Thank you.
Okay, from this side, I think Mr. Tazim at the end, please give mic to him.
Good evening, everyone. The mic is
Okay,
working.
please continue.
Yeah. This is Simran Kyani from Pakistan in the world. My question is to again Colonel Mehman. Everyone is asking from Colonel Mehman because it's regarding the borders. So I'd like to ask a question from you as well, sir. So news have been reported that Iran has deployed at least 200 heavy tanks on the borders for the safety and security of their own boundaries, as it is sharing 765 kilometers of borders with Azerbaijan. So how do you consider this movement of Iran? Do you consider it as an aid for Armenia, or you consider it as a threat to Azerbaijan, or you consider it as a safeguard of their own territory, own border? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question. Yes, there are some such information that Iran has deployed some troops to the border area with Azerbaijan's occupied territories, where the counter-offensive operation is going on along the border area. Azerbaijan, one of the offensive directions of Azerbaijan actually goes through that area, and during last the week or so, the couple of times, some artillery the fires from both sides, they fall on the other side in the territory of Iran, but thanks God Allah that there was no casualties. But this is from the Iranian side, this is the internal affairs to safeguard their own territory and the population. So therefore, we look at this the step from Iranian side very normal actually. And we also responded to the Iranian side's concerns that, you know, so in the future, at least from our side, they won't be such, you know, the cases when the, you know, which I mentioned already.
Yes,
And in
Excellency.
addition, I want to add also that Iran is the neighboring country for Azerbaijan, friendly country, and this is of course the internal affairs of Iran. Thank you.
Yes, Excellency, this is Mateen Haider from GTV Network. Question is, since your military attaché said that the Security Council resolutions are being violated, so the right forum is to alert the international communities, UN and Security Council. Through your contacts and through your friendly countries, any plan to convene the UN Security Council as the situation is critical? So, have you raised this issue in the UN General Assembly and any plan to convene UN Security Council for this purpose? Thank you.
Of course, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan, in talking with all international organizations, trying to present the clear information about the Armenian aggressions and attacks on Azerbaijan, and UN Security Council resolutions which was adopted should be implemented, and already the world countries and as well as the leaders of the international organization urge both sides to stop the hostilities and to follow the UN Security Council resolutions, as well as to follow the process of the negotiations. We hope that the demands and not only UN Security Council resolutions, other international organizations as well will be fulfilled by the aggressor Armenia, and they will end occupation of our territories, Azerbaijani territories, soon. And then we didn't start the aggression and attacks, they started, and we launched the counter-offensive measures. And when they will fulfill all these obligations of UN, Geneva Conventions, and other norms and principles of international law, then the peace enforcement operations will stop.
From this side, please. Mr. Zaman, please.
So, this is Zaman Bajwata from Fortress. My question to His Excellency Ali Alizadeh. Armenia is projecting this conflict into a holy war of Christianity. How do you see this projection of this war, this conflict, and what do you think about the role of CSTO in this conflict?
Yes, Armenia always try to provoke in different levels, and including to present this conflict as a religious conflict, but it is not the religious conflict. Azerbaijan is the peaceful and multicultural country, and all the representatives of the different religions live in Azerbaijan and coexisting together with Azerbaijani people. So it is not the religious conflict, it is the bilateral conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Thank you. From Mr. Anwar, please.
Anwar Abbas here from Bol News. Excellency, I would like to ask that as your forces are on the way to victory at the moment, they are victorious, they have liberated 25 villages and 1 city. So, the counter-offensive which has been started by Azerbaijan, will it continue to take back all Nagorno-Karabakh occupied regions that have already been occupied by Armenia, or if you are offered with some peace deal, you will choose to start dialogue? And secondly, the Armenian forces, they are targeting BTG gas oil pipeline, the strategic assets of Azerbaijan. They are now going to start targeting strategic locations. Do you have any plan to respond in the same manner by hitting their strategic locations? Thank you.
I have a supplementary on that, please. If you allow.
Please, please. I
Mike,
think,
please. Mike.
yes, please.
Yes, he has already asked about the military issue, but here is OSCE, which was the organization, the Conference on Security and Cooperation in Europe, and they have a very vital role, that Minsk group, to resolve Armenia and Azerbaijan long-standing this issue peacefully through negotiation. So whether right now it looks that Armenia and Azerbaijan both are not ready for negotiations. So is it that Azerbaijan is going to have some sort of negotiations at this particular part in time, or Minsk group is stands still at its position?
I think first I would like to mention that the President of Azerbaijan already stated that we are ready to go to negotiations if the Armenian side and Prime Minister of Armenia will take back his words that Karabakh is Armenia, first of all, and second, if he will set a timetable of withdrawal of the occupation troops from the historical territories of Azerbaijan, then we will be ready to start to negotiations, and I guess and all this process will be done legally by the observation of the OSCE, and if they will sign all this obligation, then we can start all this negotiation process. The second, also about the heating of the pipeline of Azerbaijan, Baku-Tbilisi pipeline. There was attempt to heat pipeline of Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline of Azerbaijan, but attempt was failed by the armed forces of Azerbaijan and defeated. We are not going, I was already mentioned, I have already mentioned that we are not going to target the civilian infrastructure and civilians of Armenia. Our conflict, our war in our territories, occupied territories, Armenia, and we want the end of occupation of our own territories.
From this side, any question?
And I think there was OSCE, yes, I think OSCE member countries, the co-chairmen, they were also embarrassed by the statement of the Armenian PM when he stated that Nagorno-Karabakh is Armenia, and this was one of the reasons of the disrupting the negotiation process and bringing situation to this level. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? If no, then maybe we can conclude. But
maybe as Colonel Mehman suggesting one video when they targeted our city Ganja, the second largest city of Azerbaijan, and they hit by Armenian
two children and a grandmother when a nearby house was hit. Tirana Ibrahimova is clearing up the damage done to her home. It was lunchtime and she was here with her two children and her grandmother when a nearby house was hit.
The first explosion happened around 11 a.m. and it happened only once. My children were at home. They'd just woken up. We thought that it had already finished and I was preparing lunch and my daughter was studying. My son was outside. I heard the sound of an explosion again, and I left everything and ran to get my son inside the home. At that moment, it happened. When we opened our eyes, they were evacuating us.
The missile exploded on top of the house next door, creating mountains of rubble all around. Fortunately, neither Tirana nor her family was seriously injured. The fact that an area like this has been hit, which is so far away from where the fighting is taking place, is increasing concern that unless there's a ceasefire or some kind of solution, that this conflict is just going to spread further. This is the moment the city's market was hit. It's the largest in the region, with 700 shops, covering 300,000 square meters. On a normal day, there will be several thousand shoppers here, but luckily most of the area had been evacuated after shells had already landed nearby.
At the time I was in my office, you could hear the sound of explosions all around the complex. You could see the smoke. It was clear that it had hit the market. I rushed here to see what had happened.
The missile hit a clothes shop, with less than 10 people suffering minor injuries. The Azerbaijan government and the people here are now concerned the increasing attacks on civilians is to provoke a wider war. Andrew Hopkins, TRT World, Gence, Azerbaijan.
I thank you for your participation and for your questions as well. At the end, I'd like to bring into your attention one issue. Some media outlets are taking news from international news agencies and publish the same as it is. Those news agencies, those news seem to be neutral or balanced, but if you go deeper, you will see that they mostly present a pro-Armenian position. So, especially some foreign news agencies. So we request you to take information from the official sources and publish unbiased and objective news. And the embassy also sharing regularly the updates with our media friends. If anyone doesn't get, please let us know and we will send you the same. With this, we end our today's press conference and invite you all to have some refreshments. So thank you very much and have a nice evening.